I need to record this because I've been trying to do this all day and I finally found the fix for it. It's very weird, but makes complete sense at the same time. Let's start at the objective of what I was trying to do. So this is a blueprint, and I want it to display this information when the player scans it by shooting the scan into the world. Now I've managed to get this working. So what it is it's just a widget as a component within the blueprint, and the widget is here. So the widget's here, and what I first tried to do was I tried to use event dispatchers to so I'll take you through this bit of code. So I scan the object and I fire a trace, and it gets the trace actor and checks if it's one of these type of objects. If it is, then it stores it, it tells me what it is, it gets a bunch of information about it, like its name, its type, its mass, if it's critical to the mission or whatnot. And I set that all within the editor here through a bunch of variables that I've set up and exposed to the editor. So I set that here, and it checks all of that stuff. Where is it? It checks all of that stuff through this macro. Then it stores that in an array of structures. That is quite unimportant. I don't even remember why I did that, but it's nice to have, I suppose. Anyway, so here's the event dispatcher. It does the exact same thing as this macro. It just gets that information out of that object that I've scanned in the world and pumps out all of its information into this event dispatcher. This now takes me over to the widget. Now on event construct, I've bound the event dispatcher to this custom event. This is the fixed one, which is why it's all wonky and whatnot and not titled properly at the moment. This is me just fixing it. How I originally had it set up was this fires off, and then it does it once, and it sets all of this information within this widget, which is all of this information here. So it sets all of that, but so how I had it set up originally was not this. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. It was just this event, and it was coming off of this and like that. So it didn't work like this. I was casting to the game mode where I've stored a reference to the player. I was getting the player so I can bind the event, because the event dispatcher calls from the player, so I can bind the event from the player. But it didn't work. So if I scan the object, you can see that there's no widget above it, and it's not displaying any information where the green lines are. It doesn't work like that from a reference set within the game mode, but it does work by separately casting to the player and then getting a reference to the player from the player. Yes, that makes sense. So it works by casting to the player. It doesn't work by casting to the game mode and then getting the reference to the player from the game mode. Don't know why, because it's the same thing. But so that's the fix there. Definitely make a note of that for the future, because it's taken me many hours today. So I'll go through a bunch of things that I tried in order to fix it but didn't work. I don't even remember why this is here. It's a custom event that I tried just calling from somewhere. I'll get rid of it. But I implemented an interface, a specific scan interface, and then if I get the interface open, it's got a function that simply executes, and you input a name. Now from the player blueprint, I've also implemented the interface so that when I call it from here, I input the name. So I just literally just do that, just input the name. Still the same code all back here, but I would just swap this out for implementing the interface instead of the event dispatcher. And oops, and then it would call within this through here. What did I call it? Specific scan interface call. Oops. Specific, and it's a oh my gosh, it's an event, but it comes up. I had it open here, and it was an event that I would literally do the exact same code, but just use the event, and that didn't work either. So interfaces didn't work. Using a reference from another blueprint didn't work. And you can see that I started making it on the player's like visor HUD up in the corner there, up in the corner here. I started making this, and this worked because this is like the basic fallback option. It was my contingency plan, where I would literally just use the event dispatcher again, and I would settle the information from here, and it worked from here. So if I get the name of the object, and it selects it there, and then I were to do set text, and I were to set this text, oops, the name, it would work. So if I compile and play that, you can oh yeah, I need to scan the object. That makes sense. There you go. So it's changed to cone up in the corner, and I'll circle that. Like it's changed to cone up in the corner. So it gets the information perfectly fine with the event dispatcher. And I saw that and I was like, well, why doesn't it work in that one? Is it because I'm not getting the right instance of the object? Because obviously if I copy this object and make another one, it's a different instance, so it has different it has a different reference to it. They're not the same reference, so then it wouldn't pass the same information. And I realized that that wasn't the case. What I did differently was I was directly casting to the player. I have the player here and the player pawn as the object. I directly cast to it, and I made the binding. And then I was like, why don't I try that in in this template, in this widget? So I did that, and lo and behold, it works. So I have the result that I want, which is good. When you scan the object, it shows the object information in the world. I just obviously need to set up all of that information, like the rest of the information, like the mass and what type it is and whatnot. But that's easy enough. I've made it so that you can just drag and drop them in. But finally that works. I can get rid of all of that from the HUD. What else I've done today, let's get rid of that. What else I've done today is, you can see I started making another functionality, another piece of functionality. I'll show it down here. So it would be the player types in something, and then I check to see if they've typed in the correct thing. And if they do, then the AI would say something to the player. Yeah, and I've also actually set up this, I think it's, yes, this bit here. So this just checks, I can enter any name here, like wall, doors, etc. So if I were to put an object into the world, and changed its name to like wall, yeah, and then I were to shoot that, it should return wall. There we go. Up in the blue debug information in the corner is returning wall. So that I set that up so that I can know whatever it is I'm actually scanning at any given point, and dependent on what is scanned, it will take from a structure. It will automatically get the correct index from the loop. So I'll go from the beginning. So I have the object names. I get the length as the last index. It goes through the index and automatically gets the right one by searching if any of the object names have the correct names that I've defined here. Once it gets the correct one, it does a switch, and if it's fuel, then it plays the fuel audio. The AI says something about fuel, or it says something about the floor or the wall or the door, and that is set in here. So I can just literally set a new one. I can say that would be the what they actually say, the audio file that they actually say. That would be who's speaking, the AI, who are they speaking to, the player, but I've yet to create the player, and the dialogue voice is just like for like subtitle information and whatnot, I think. So yeah, I set up that as well. And I set that up with the help of Leon, because I originally had it like this, and it doesn't actually work like this for some reason. But then you put a node in the way that stores the scan result, and suddenly it works with this print string. So I don't fully know why that happens, but it works now, which is good. So today was a long day. To my standards, I didn't get like a huge amount done, but I suppose I did get a good amount done. I mean, I solved a big problem. Let's make that two-sided. I solved a big problem, which is getting this scan information, which I feel is quite important, because I suppose this can be my evaluation bit, that it's quite important because at the end of the game, I want their entire sort of journey throughout the game to be trying to find this fuel, and if they can't actually scan the object for fuel and know that they're picking up fuel, then I mean, they might not be able to complete the game. They might not be able to complete the actual story and progress through that story as I intended, and actually get to the end of the story. So this was quite a big thing. This is something that I feel adds to the detail of the world as well, because say you're flying through, and I want there to be a lot of objects around the world, and this system makes it so easy to set up those objects. So it'd also be quite nice to have the player kind of unsuspecting of what the scanner would actually do, and when they try to scan objects, suddenly, oh, there's like a lot of information that they can see and be kind of placed into this world of like, what's the primary element molecular structure of this of this object, or what's the atomic number of this object. The player themselves don't actually need to know that. However, it adds to the storytelling. This is going into the visual storytelling part, where it's, well, the ship and the AI itself might need to know what the object is made out of for certain reasons, if it's dangerous, for example. And that's the backstory. That's contributing to the backstory of this whole universe, this whole world. So yeah, I feel like I chose those specific things today to include the molecular structure and whatnot, because it sounds fairly technical, whereas piloting a ship and being a commander, you're gonna have to know like all of this like copious amounts of data and whatnot, and mission protocols and whatnot. So I'm thinking like having this information displayed might not be incredibly useful to the player as they're playing, but it kind of makes them feel like, well, potentially makes them feel like, actually I'm in the role of this commander who's been through a lot, who knows a lot, who's earned his pilot's license or her pilot's license, for example. So so yeah, I really feel like I'm happy with the result of today. I mean, I don't have much time for the end of the day right now, so I might continue doing this tomorrow and continue doing the next bit, well, one of the next bits, which is checking the commands that they're typing in. I haven't actually finished this yet. I kind of swapped what I was doing because I had that epiphany, but this would basically just go through the accepted commands. I would type in run DMC, DC, DMC, and then they would type in, obviously, run DMC in here. Playtime. So if I were to put this as, where is it? Hidden visibility. So as they're playing the game, they type in stuff here, run DMC, then they would press enter, and then I would check what have they entered, and depending on what they've entered, I'd have the AI say something, or you know, continue on with the story or something. But yeah, I think that is the end of today for me. Yes, I suppose see you next time.